It's so funny, ever since I started my channel about a year ago. Yeah, it's been a year. I've been on YouTube for a year. This is so cool. But ever since I started my channel a year ago, I have been consistent with my upload schedule of 3 videos a week. But the last couple of months have, like I said in previous videos, not been the very best for me mental health wise, and I've had to take a couple of breaks, but I'm feeling better, slightly better. So I'm hoping sincerely that I'll be able to resume regular upload schedule. Fingers crossed. But anyway, I'm back with my October wrap up. I cannot believe we're already in November. Like, this year really flew. But I'm back with my October wrap up, and I read about 28 books in October. Yes, you heard that right. It might not have been a good month mental health wise, but audiobooks legitimately saved my life this month. So I read about 28 books. Most of them are audiobooks, a few of them are physical books, and about 90% of them, if not 95% of them, are romance books. So yeah, this is going to be a very romance filled wrap up.
To be talking to you, Belladonna. Should have taken a break, not an Oxford comma. Take what I want when I wanna, and I want you.
Everybody, Nara back again. So I'm just going to start with the non-romance, although technically there are some romance in some of these books, but they are not primarily driven by romance, if you know what I mean. But I'll start with the non-romance books I have read this month, because like I said, they are quite a small number, and the first of that is Obisidio by Amie Kaufman and Kristoff. Yes, I finally did finish the Illuminate Files in October, and wow, the last 3 months reading this entire series has been magnificent. I'll never read the word error the same again. I have a renewed appreciation for parachutes, psychopathic AIs who finally find their humanity without necessarily losing what just still makes them them would always be my precious precocious children. Like, there is no disputing it. I loved every moment of this book. I will admit though that it was not as fast paced as Illuminate, right, or Gemini, because this was happening almost simultaneously as when the other 2 books were happening. But it was more of a case of, you know, trying to figure out exactly who the Illuminate group is, and you know, them trying to hold Baytech responsible for the atrocities that they've committed. And I enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved every moment of this book. Like, wow. But I'm going to admit that it was not as tension filled and fast paced as Illuminate or Gemini. The other problem I have with it is the fact that I do believe that each of the other couples got their own books, and it felt like you could see their romance develop and be fleshed out, even though they've all had previous history by the time we started the books. Asha and Reese in this book, I think that their romance was very shortchanged. I did not really feel their romantic connection. I really didn't feel it, and it's so sad because, God, Asha she's amazing, she's a badass, and it takes so much for you to realize that you're on the bad side, that okay, this war that you did not sign up for really does have you know, consequences, and for you to actually have that turnaround, it takes so much. I am so proud of Reese for that, but I just feel like we didn't really get their characters fleshed out properly. We didn't get their romance fleshed out properly, and it breaks my heart because it would have been so good. Plus, Asha is clearly a brown skinned girl, and I just feel so shortchanged. But it does not mean that I did not love this book. And I think that Obisidio, like Dark Dawn, has convinced me that no matter what Kristoff, you know, pretends, and I'm using the word pretends on purpose. It pretends that it's all hardcore rock and roll. I'm gonna make you cry and I don't care. And yes, it does make us cry, but I think that is someone that also loves happy endings. Like, it might love it a little smidgen of a lot, because the ending of this, I was not expecting it. Like, the sacrifice broke me, yeah, but it was still a happy ending, kind of like what we got with Dark Dawn. So I'm just like, I see what you did there. I see what you did there. But yeah, like I said, I had a lot of fun reading this. Ella would always be my baby. I want to protect her. Goddamn, they all were. And I love the fact that this book was consistent in the fact that teenagers, every word counts, every opinion counts. It doesn't matter if they are so much younger than you. It's best for you to listen to the smartest people in the room. And in this entire series, teenagers are the smartest people in the room, and I appreciate that a lot. But yeah, I gave this a 5 stars. Loved every moment of it. Next, I read Clockwork by Cassandra Clare. This is the second book in the Mortal Instrument series, and we pick up right from where we left off with Clockwork Angel, in which case Tessa has realized that everything she thought she knew, nah, she doesn't know that much. She's realized exactly how much of a dick her brother is, and the fact that Will Arundel is clearly a tortured soul who is attracted to her, but it's also behaving like a dumbass. She's coming to her powers, and the search for Mortmain is still going on strong. Now, I'm not gonna lie, you can definitely see that Cassandra Clare's writing has improved by leaps and bounds in the Infernal Devices series. This series was way better constructed and way better told than the Mortal Instrument series, but I'm not gonna lie, I do not connect as well with this series. I don't think it doesn't have as much soul. It's like all those beautiful, for me, please note that this is my opinion, but it's like all those beautiful mansions that just feel empty. I can't connect with the characters. Like, as much as it is that I'm going to read Mortal Instruments, I read Mortal Instruments and I'm like, what the hell? I will still admit that I connect more with it than I do the Infernal Devices. But I would admit, like I said, the construction of her writing in this book is way better. In this entire series is way better. I will also admit the fact that this book definitely suffers from middle book syndrome, because when you really look at it, this is just 2 weeks of nothing happening. Like, nothing really happened with regards to the central plot. Like, we do get some understanding of exactly why Will Arundel is acting the way he does, and I'm going to come to that in a moment. We understand more of, Jem Casters and what he's dealing with. We see more of Tessa. All these characters are growing in a way, but plot-wise, central plot-wise, nothing happens. This is just basically 2 weeks of these characters chasing after their own tail in the search for Mortmain, and I'm like, because when you finish reading, you're like, so technically, nothing really happened except for the fact that we get confirmation that this is going to be a love triangle. Seriously? Like, that was technically what happened. Oh, and, that thing that happened with Nate, which called it. I also called what happened with Jessamine, which called it. But anyway, yeah. That's just my problem. It's well told story. It's just nothing really happens, right? And in this book, I discovered that stupidity seems to be a Arundel trait. And now I can't blame Jace anymore, because I can see clearly where he inherited the stupid gene from. He got it from his ancestor. William Arundel was so fucking stupid. I remember reading this book. I wanted to go into the book and shake him hard, because I'm like, you cannot be this fucking dumb. Like, there's so many, like, why can't you see what everybody else can see? That was all I was screaming at the book. That's what I was screaming at Will Arundel, because even when we got to the first bit and the reveal, I'm like, are you so fucking stupid? I called that from the very first moment in which we got details of exactly how we thought it was cursed. And I'm like, seriously, dude? And I was right. So I'm over here reading the book. I'm like, this boy is so fucking stupid. Now I understand why your great grandson is so fucking stupid. You passed it along, like, stupid. But now I understand the old toss and turn thingy with regards to the love triangle. I still believe that I would have loved it in these books if their entire relationship had just been a triad. Like, why can't they just poly up? Like, polyamory would have solved so many things. It's very, 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 very clear as day, that Will loves Jem. It's also very clear as day that Jem loves Will. And it's also clear as day that Will and Jem love Tessa. And it's also fucking clear as day that Tessa loves Will and Jem. Like, see what I'm saying here? They could have just had a polyamorous relationship and we would have gotten it. But anyway, the saving grace for me for this book was, as always, Charlotte Branwell. I, as always, want to protect her. She's so fucking badass. Also, Magnus Bane. Like, you all know, Magnus Bane is Bane. Like, any book he appears is immensely better by like 110%. Like, boom. And also Woosley Scott. I really wish I could get a book from his perspective, because I found it entertaining as fuck. And he definitely brought some much needed levity to the old angst-filled blah that was this book. Because, like I said, as much as it was constructed so very well, nothing really happens in this. And I gave this a 4 stars, because it was definitely more interesting than the first book. But even though it was so much better, I still couldn't connect with it. And like I said, nothing really happened. Like, this should just be Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. The blurb should be nothing really happens. Like, because nothing really happens. And then there's Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I am going to just go straight out and say that I love this book. I gave it 5 fucking Brilliant. Brilliant stars. One, I'm going to admit it. I know not everybody will love this book. I don't think it's necessarily for everybody. But I'm also going to address the very big elephant in the room. And that is the fact that, triggering content. Because I was on Twitter the minute when Twitter was like, oh my God, there's so many triggering things in Ninth House. How could Leigh Bardugo write such a book? And after reading it, I came to two conclusions. One, a lot of people that were on Twitter that they obviously do not read adult stories, adult occult stories, because trust me, when I was reading this, I'm like, yes, there are lots of triggering content in this. Trigger warnings for the rape of a minor, for sexual assault, for sexual assault, for violence, for vivid depictions of violence and gore, for the hitting of human waste. Although technically, let's be honest, the character that did eat human waste, I was just like, it gives a whole new appreciation to the word eat shit. Because some people are pieces of shit, and it's just kismet that they have to eat shit. That's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, like, it just goes to show that a lot of people don't read adult stories. Like, a lot of people on book Twitter don't read adult stories. Or rather, let me take that back. A lot of people on book Twitter that were having this conversation and talking about how it was so dark and how could Leigh Bardugo write this, blah, 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 definitely don't read adult stories. Because trust me, this was pretty tame. Like, when I was reading it, I'm like, okay, I expected more. And I guess that's the reason why I gave it 5 stars. Because I'm like, this is fucking tame. What the hell? And then there are the people that were like, oh, Leigh Bardugo just wrote about sexual assault, blah, 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 in order to be edgy. And I'm like, for you to think that the survival of sexual assault would write a book about sexual assault to be edgy, especially considering the fact that all our books in which Leigh Bardugo has featured sexual assault of some form, for you to imagine that Leigh Bardugo will write it just to make money or just to be edgy, is just so fucking wrong on so many levels. But people have their opinions. It's their opinions. I can't correct them, but yes, it can be triggering. Yes, I've stated what the triggering content are in this book. But if it is that you still want to read it, then let me just state that a lot of what is featured in this book is not done for shock value. It's done to tell a story. It's done to tell the story of survival. It's done to tell a story of girls who have experienced abuse and assault, and how society really does not care. How society just uses and discards people who will stand up, who would ask questions, whether you're intelligent or you're just not cut out from the mold, and how society just considers you irrelevant, and how these people are the ones that come, these people are the knights, these people are the ones that, tell their stories and are here to save the day. I enjoyed every moment of this. I would admit that this book, it started slow, it lumbered, it crept up on you, but by the time you get to like 120, 150 pages in, it really picks up. And by the time things finally click, I put this in my Goodreads review, which, by the way, if you want to follow me on Goodreads, you can. I'm at Noria Reads on Goodreads. I put this in my Goodreads review, and I was like, this book lumbers and it creeps up on you, and it builds very slowly until boom, hits you on the side of the face like the marble statue of a past founder, and everything just clicks. Yeah, I know. If you read the book, you understand that joke. Like, I felt really, 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 really smart when I wrote that review. And like, thank you, Chica. She got it on Goodreads. She was just laughing like, I love you, boo. But anyway, yeah, it builds slow. Give it about 150 pages, and trust me, when it hits, you won't be able to put it down. Now, I love the fact that it is grey, it is drab, it is in a way, for a longest time, very depressing. Our lead character, Alex Stern, has been through so much, and there are people legitimately on this world who do not like Galaxy Alex Stern, and I'm like, how don't you like Galaxy? She's amazing. She's quiet, yes, she's intense, yes, she mopes for a lot of the book, but that is because life has tried so hard to shit on her, and for so long has succeeded, and she's been through hell and back again, and she has the ghost souvenirs. She wears them on her skin, and it's hard being Alex Stern, but it's hard not to admire the fortitude and strength and amazingness that it takes to be that scrappy survivor, to push, to dig in your nails and to demand what you want from the world. And when she finally does realize that she has the power and she can do that, and when she does, when she lets that cool snake rattling beneath her collarbone, when she lets it out, fangs dripping with blood, I fell in love with her. Like, she's easily one of my favorite female characters in fiction. I love her. I love her fortitude. I love her strength. I love her snack. I love the fact that she loves to wear black. I love the fact that the world keeps trying over and over again to break her. And every single time she rises even stronger than before. And now I'm looking at Ninth House and I'm like, I cannot believe that the second book in the series is not coming out until fucking 2021. Like, Leigh Bardugo clearly wants to kill me. Because I have to wait 2 more years to get the rest of these books. It is sad. It is very, very sad. But like I said, I enjoyed every moment of it. I love my girls, Pamela Dawes. Like, my brainy child just wants to sit down somewhere and just read and relax. And I love her so much. I love Darlington. Daniel Arlington III. I want to protect him. I want to love him. And the ending, the last line of this book blew my fucking mind. Also, shout out for the fact that Alex Stern is biracial. My girl is just perfect in so many ways. And like I said, I gave this a 5 stars. Loved it. Catch me hibernating until 2021. Actually, I'm not going to be hibernating until 2021 because there's so many books that are coming out, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful that there's so many great books that are coming out that I'm looking forward to, that will help waiting for this a little bit easier. Just a little bit easier though, because it's still going to break my heart to have to wait until 2021 to find out what happens next. Now we'll move on to the romance part of this video, because like I said, I read a lot of romance books. I read about 25 romance books in October, which, wow. I'm so happy. So the very first romance book I read this month was Dirty Headlines by LJ Shen. Yes, I'm slowly working my way through LJ Shen's backlist because I want to see if any of our other books would reach the level of Vicious. Will reach the level that Vicious was for me. Unfortunately, no, it did not. Celian tried to be the rich alpha asshole of my dream. Unfortunately, it did not even come close. That position still belongs to Baron Vicious Spencer. To make matters even worse, this book was so bland. What was this book about? Let me see. We had these 2 people who had great sex, and then Jude stole from him. She was in a bad place and she had bills to pay. A couple of months later, she resumes to work. In her mind, she's totally forgotten about the guy. Not really forgot about him. She still remembers the wild night of sex that they had, but it was, she had just walked in on her fiancé cheating on her and she had bills on her heels. So yeah, she definitely remembers the sex, but in her mind she's like, been there, done that. Thankfully, she's never going to run into this person again, into the guy again, because the guy apparently is some sort of foreign worker and is gone back to France. Jokes on her, because when she resumes at her new workplace, her new boss turns out to be Celian, the person she had sex with and then stole from. And then they do this whole tug and pull thing, because Celian's father is a creep. Celian wants her. Celian's father also wants her. Apparently Celian's father has a thing for wanting all the women that his son sleeps with. Gross. And then yeah, they have this office romance, this alpha thing. Celian respects her. Blah blah blah. You can see from the uninterested expression on my face just how bland I found this story. I gave it a 2 stars, and that is just, and the only reason why I got a 2 stars from me is because Jude, the heroine of the story, has a thing for chalks, and I appreciate a girl who has great taste in footwear and can color coordinate, and has so many that she can color coordinate them with her mood. That's the only reason why this book got 2 stars. I would have given it 1 star because I was just like, bland. It was so bland. Their relationship was bland. A lot of things were bland. Even the plot twist at the end was bland. The only spot of color in this entire thing were the color chalks that Jude keeps on wearing, because I wasn't really feeling Celian. Yes, he works hard. Yes, he's very dedicated, but I didn't really like him. Like, it was just bleh. Jude was bleh, except for the chalks. The chalks were really good. The plot twist at the end of the story, I called it from the very start, and I'm like, okay, this is probably what is happening, and I was right. So yeah, I was very unimpressed. Like I said, I gave it a 2 stars. It's a pity, but what can I say? LJ Shen, it seems like Vicious was just like the highest point, and everything has just been downhill. Okay, fine, let me take that back. It seems like the Sinners of Saints series, Like, that entire series was a crowning point, and then everything has just been downhill from there for me, and it's sad. I hope sincerely that I do discover another book that I love as much as I love that series, but Then I read the second LJ Shen book, The End Zone, and this one I hated even more than I did Dirty Headlines. I gave this 1 star. Like, I think this is my very first 1 star. One of the few, if not my first, then maybe my second 1 star of the year, because this year has been pretty good to me book-wise, but that book is 1 star. And it's not just because it's a short, because it is a very small story. It's just that this book was just filled with so many contrived situations that had me suspending my suspension of disbelief. Like, I already had a suspension of disbelief reading going into the book with the premise, because this book tells the story of Sage and Jolie, who have been best friends since they were kids, and now they are roommates in college. Jolie likes to sleep around, is a jock, he likes to sleep around. Sage is his best friend and his roommate, and she's like, oh, she's not going to touch that with a 7-foot pole, but suddenly Jolie realizes that, oh my god, she's kind of hot, and he wants her, and then he convinces her to be his fake girlfriend, and then there's this whole thing about this ex-girlfriend, and this whole thing with a like I said, there were so many things in this book that just had me rolling my eyes so hard, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? This was like 2 hours of my life I couldn't take back, because that book was short, but that book was so fucking disappointing. I gave it a 1 star. None of this thing makes sense. There were so many contrived situations. A lot of the time, I was reading the book and I'm like, but that makes no sense. But this makes no sense. But this makes no bloody sense. That was my entire face throughout the entire series. Like, short stories can be done well, but the characters have to be fairly believable, and things don't have to just happen because they have to happen for the sake of the story. And for me, it's not one of my better LJ Shen books. Like, definitely not one of my favorite LJ Shen books. Like, not even one of my manageable, not even one of my barely tolerable. I really didn't like this. I disliked it. Like I said, 1 star. And I read the Dirty Billionaire trilogy by Meghan March, starting with the very first novella, Dirty Billionaire. What can I say? I went in for a smutty serial, and I got a smutty serial. Like, the story hung on this cliffhanger, and I'm like, okay, sure. Did I wish the characters had been better fleshed out? Yeah. Did I wish the story had been a bit longer? Yeah, but like I said, I went in for a smutty serial, and that is what I got. I got 2 stars. The only problem is that I wanted it to be more smuttier. Like, I really wanted the sex to be more intense, way hotter, and the sex was just average for me, which was the reason why I gave it a 2 stars. If the sex had been better, I probably would have bumped it to a 3 stars, because it was a pretty decent start. The characters were just, they were fairly decent. Creating rich alpha asshole. Like I said, every single time I meet a new alpha asshole, I'm going to measure them against Vicious, and if they don't come close, I'm going to be like, pretty Creating characters was just okay. It wasn't really special, nothing really special. Holly was also okay, nothing really special. But like I said, I gave it a 2 stars. I enjoyed it enough, way better than I did The End Zone, but not enough to give it a 3 stars or even a 2.5 stars. Like, nope, 2 stars. And it just occurred to me that I forgot to state what this book was about. Basically, we just follow Holly, who is this down on her luck country star, whose label has basically been pressurizing her into pretending to be a fake girlfriend of this other country star, in order to, pretend that the said country star is straight. The only problem is that she's always almost constantly in the headlines, and she's just about done with it. And she goes to New York, decides to engage in a one-night fling. The one-night fling turns out to be Creighton Harris, one of the richest men in the world. Of course, is the billionaire. And they have this hot night, which unfortunately for me was not as hot as I wanted it to be. They had this hot night, and when they were done, she leaves. And Creighton wants her back because, she blows his mind and rocks his world. And sets out to win her back. Like I said, it's pretty straightforward. Like, I kid you not, everything I've told you is about 70% of the story. I just don't want to say how he wins her back, because that would be totally spoiling the entire story for you. But yeah, that's what happened in Dirty Billionaire. It was okay. I wish it was smarter. 2 stars. Next book in the trilogy is Dirty Pleasures, and this one was tying with End Zone for the most stupid book I've ever read, because I also gave it a 1 star. What can I say? The level of stupid in this book is just phenomenal, fantastic. This book picks up from where the first book left off, because like I said, it's a serial. So Holly has run away because, you know, her husband doesn't necessarily put her first. Yes, I said husband. A lot of things happen between where I stopped my synopsis of book 1 and when I'm going to pick up synopsis of book 2. Apologies, like I said, I don't want to really spoil some major things for you. But yeah, she runs away from her husband, she goes back on tour, he realizes he's a dumbass, he runs after her, they have this whole period of hot sex, and then events spring up and she realizes that she doesn't think she fits into his world, which I could have told you easily, girl, but at the same time, he's a billionaire. You're not meant to fit into his world. He's meant to, you know. He chose you, but I'm not about to get into that. Like I said, Holly can be so fucking stupid. But anyway, she chases after she runs away yet again. Yeah, that's my problem. She keeps running. The level of stupidity in this book, the amount of miscommunication in this book. I wanted to yank out my hair, except for the fact that I actually kind of like my hair, and I didn't want to lose any hair. It takes so long to grow this perfection. But I just like, why are people this fucking dumb? So yeah, 1 star for Dirty Pleasures, and I want the 2 hours of my life I spent reading this book back. Actually, no, I think this book was about 6 hours. Yeah, I want the 6 hours I spent reading this book back, because no, hell to the no. And then finally, I read the last book in the trilogy, that's Dirty Together. I would say right off the bat, I gave this a 2.5 stars, so you know it was definitely better than the first 2 books in the series for me. Finally, the couple learns to sit down, communicate, have conversations. They realize that relationship takes effort, relationship takes work, but you also have to talk to the person you're fucking married to, you know, because they cannot read minds. Nobody can fucking read minds. But yeah, way better for that. The only reason why I'm not even going to run this up into a 3 stars is because there was a mafia twist at the end that was the biggest what the fuck of what the fuckery in my history of reading books. Because what the fuck was that ending, Meghan March? Like, why? I remember getting to the mafia part and I'm like, why? What the fuck? So yeah, 2.5 stars. Like, I might even sleep tomorrow and go and change my ratings on Goodreads and just give it a 2 stars, because that mafia bit was just so unnecessary and annoying, and I'm like, how do we go from what we were reading to this? Makes no sense. 0 sense whatsoever. Next, I read Pucked by Helena Hunting, which was the first book in the Puck series. What can I say? I gave this book a 3 stars. It was just average for me. I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it either. In this book, we follow Violet, who kind of she's not as glassy-eyed over hockey players as other women, because she has a hockey superstar as a stepbrother, so she knows just how hockey players are. But then she meets Alex Waters, who is not like other hockey players. You know, he's more intelligent. He gets her, and they engage in this relationship. Like I said, it was pretty straight, pretty bland. Nothing really major happens, although I do appreciate the level of groveling that Alex had to go through when he fucking screwed things up really bad with Violet. Like, he screwed things up and he groveled, and I appreciate the fact that Violet really made him grovel for it. Like, he really, really... If you spent any time on my channel, you know how much I love to see characters grovel. Like, a good groveling session can take a book from like a 3 stars to a 2 stars for me, and it was much appreciated and much needed. But I would state though that the sex was not scorching hot. Meghan March's sex scenes were even more scorching than this. The sex was pretty decent, okay, not like maybe like a 5 over 10 level of heat. And the jokes were funny. Some of the jokes were funny. Some of the jokes I was just like, meh. I would state though that the first time, you know, they were referring to it as beaver, I laughed. By the 10th time, the joke started becoming old. By the 29th time, I was like, please stop. By the 29th time, I was like, god damn. By the 49th time, I wanted to strangle somebody. So yeah, and also I listened to this on audio. The person that voiced Alex should totally not be voicing Canadian characters, because he sounded more Irish than Canadian. I was just like, huh? That was just me throughout the entire reading experience. I was like, huh? Why does his voice sound like that? Why is he pronouncing words like that? But anyway, 3 stars. I will keep reading the series because I heard it gets better. I'm just going to be keeping my fingers crossed. Next, I read The Assist by Rebecca Jenshak, which was the first book in a Smart Jock series. You know, there are certain romance books you read that are just awesome and sweet. The characters are really well balanced and you can legitimately see the development of their relationship. That was technically me with this book, with this entire series. I love the fact that Rebecca Jenshak really spun things on its head, because the smart person in this entire relationship was the jock, and that was the entire basis of the start of their relationship. You had Blair, the sorority girl, who really wants to pass statistics and is failing it, and is surprised to see that the jock, the basketball jock who spends the entire class sleeping in the backseat, actually passed it, and didn't just pass it, like he aced the exam. She was convinced that, you know what, he's probably just getting the grade because it's a jock and the university likes to just dash out grades to jocks. When she finds out that he really is smart and he really does know statistics, she is surprised, and then it's now her turn to admit that she's misjudged him, and then she tries to beg and cajole him into tutoring her. I love the fact that in this entire book we could see the slow development of Blair and Wes's relationship. They legitimately went from I don't like you, I can't stand you, I've misjudged you, to acquaintances, to friends, to lovers. And this slow progression of their relationship was really interesting to read. I had a blast. I enjoyed every moment of it. I do think that the little bit of angst that they had towards the end of the book, I still think that Wes didn't apologize enough, but I understood what led to it, understood where it was coming from, and the background we've got to this character, the build up we've got to this character to this point, made his actions at the end just a little bit understandable. I wish he had begged someone, I wish he had groveled someone, but we can't have all we want in this world. It's unfortunately a truth of life that I've had to live with. But yeah, I gave this a 4 stars. Like I said, I appreciated every moment of it. Next, I read The Fadeaway, also by Rebecca Jenshak, which is the second book in a Smart Jock series. And what can I say? The Assist was good. The Fadeaway was fucking brilliant. And I ascribed this entire thing to the magnificent that is Joel Moreno, that is our hero of the story, and Katrina. See, I know some people do not like man-whores in stories, but see, I don't mind them. I actually appreciate characters who have sex, who have a lot of sex, who enjoy it, especially if it is that they have sex with, like, the sex is with mutually consenting adults. That's just it. Once that happens, I don't mind. I don't know why it is that society seems to have a problem with people who have a lot of sex. There's nothing wrong with having sex. There's nothing wrong in having a lot of sex. There's nothing wrong in not wanting sex. There's nothing wrong in enjoying sex. There's nothing wrong in saying that, you know what, sex might not be the thing for me. But if it is that you have sex and you love sex and you're attractive enough to constantly be getting sex, I don't think there's any reason for anybody to judge you for that. And Joel Moreno loves to have sex. He enjoys having sex. He's the quintessential man whore to beat all man whores. And until I read another book, and I will get to in a bit, and there I met the love of my life. But Joel is like a pretty close second, and I appreciate that about him. Is an amazing friend, is an amazing listener, is a great teammate, is the kind of person that when you look beneath the surface, when you look beneath the persona, the boy who has everything, the sports, the jock, the basketballer, the man whore in quotes, you find someone who is a stand-up guy, who is decent, who is great with kids, who is amazing with his teammates, who's got your back through it all. He is, like I said, is fucking brilliant and fucking fantastic. And then we have Katrina. She's just badass. I want to give her the world. And in this book, she gets the world, she gets the man, she gets the romance, she gets the hot sex. But Katrina is a single mother who is trying to go through college and just does not have time for the playboy who has been consistently asking her out for months. And I love the fact that we all once again see the fact this relationship starts out with, we know that there are sparks, we know that these two characters are attracted to each other, but it takes a while for them to get to that point. And seeing the courting of Katrina, of Kitty as Joe likes to call her, just made my heart flutter. And there's this adorable child in this book, like, flutter. Katrina is she's an amazing mother. She's such a badass. She's such a great friend. She's such a great student. She's such a great worker. And I could see just how well her and Joel's relationship worked. They meshed well. They are good for each other and to each other. And their relationship was just goals. Like, This was, I think, my favorite relationship in the entire Smart Jug series, although we've not yet gotten Nathan's story, so I don't know if I can say it's my absolute best. But so far, of the 3 books that are out so far, this was my favorite relationship in the entire Smart Jug series. I loved it, loved every moment of it. I even when it was that Joel had to step away, he did it still being the stand-up decent guy, and when he had to grovel, he did it still being himself. Like, I love this book. It was funny and sweet and sexy and quirky and just all around romantic. It was just every single thing. It was ticking so many boxes for me, and I had a blast reading it. So yeah, 5 stars for The Fadeaway by Rebecca Jenshak. Loved it. And then I read the 3rd book in the Smart Jug series, and that is The Tip Off, also by Rebecca Jenshak, and this was Zeke and Gabby's story. Now, Zeke is one of the teammates from The Assist and The Fadeaway. He's a pretty driven guy. Basketball is his life. He's already been chosen for the NBA. He's about to leave college. His life is all spread out ahead of him. But see, for him to get to that point, he's had to sacrifice so much of college life. He's a very driven young man, but he's just never really had a life. And then you had Gabby, an accident just before she entered college, had her been homeschooled for most of her college education, but now she's ready to integrate. She's Blair's best friend, as Blair from The Assist, that's the 1st book in the series, and she's slowly just trying to rebuild those memories that she never got to do, you know. So she's ticking things off her boxes and trying to have a blast. And who else is perfect to be her accomplice but Zeke, the boy who never really did get to experience college, and the girl who is finally getting the chance to experience college for the very first time. And they work well. Like, I could really believe the growth of their relationship, and that is something I love about the Smart Jug series by Rebecca Jenshak. She legitimately puts in works with her characters. You can legitimately see them first becoming friends before, you know, they become lovers, and I love every single moment of it. Like, if it was that The Assist for me was sweet, right? The Fadeaway was hot, but the tip off is like all those slow cooked meals. It's like my mom, you know, slowly roasting like this big ass chicken that we're going to eat for Christmas. It takes the time to simmer for all the seasoning to work in until it's soft and delicious and just mouth-watering good. That is what we got with the tip off. Everything in this entire book was just slow. The friendship took its time to build, but it was not like Zeke or Gabby hated each other at first glance. They were just friends of the other couples. And of course, there was this whole start in the beginning when it seems like they were just being forced together, you know, because all their friends are kind of coupled up. But when their relationship starts and when it takes off and when, oh god, it was sweet, it was lovely, it was nice. I love that they brought out the best in each other. I love the fact that both of them were good for each other. I love the fact that Gabby helped Zeke to just let down his guard and experience the life around him. And I love the fact that Zeke was the wind beneath her wings. Like, she felt free. She felt free and safe enough to spread her wings and fly when she was with him. And I love this. I love the tip off. I love Zeke. I love this entire image we got of this black man who is focused and driven. And I don't think I mentioned it, but Joel in The Fadeaway is Latinx. So yeah. And you have Zeke, who is this black boy who has always dreamed of, you know, being in the NBA, and who was so worried that a relationship would be a drawback and would keep him back, and who realizes that he can legitimately have it both. He can have the girl of his dreams and he can play the sport of his dreams. And then it takes Gabby a while to get to that point, but when she does, like, I love even their reconciliation. I love what it spoke to the growth of Gabby, because something significant happened to her for her to get to Zeke, and I appreciate it. I love it. I love this book. I love the series. I gave this book a 4 stars. Yes, it was not a 5 stars. The only 5 stars in this series so far belongs to the love of my life, Joel, you know, Moreno. Like, goddamn, he deserved that 5 stars. Totally and completely deserved it. But this was very solid. 4 stars, loved it. I'm still thinking about it. I can't wait to reread this series. I'm definitely going to reread it again when it's time for Nathan's story, which I think is coming out this month. So, oh my god, there's so many books that I'm looking forward to reading this month. This is so amazing. This is great. This is very, very great. And then after I finished the Smart Jug series, I was definitely in the mood for, you know, more college romance, more sports college romance. So I got a comment in one of my videos and I decided to pick up Elle Kennedy's off-campus series, starting with The Deal. And This book was so good. Like, I had high expectations going into it because I was told that I would really, really enjoy it. And everybody was right. It was so good. In this story, we follow Anna Wells and Garrett Graham. Garrett is a jock. He is a hockey player, right? He's the captain of the school hockey team, and unfortunately he's failing a course. And what that means is that his GPA is slipping, and if he slips to a particular point, he will not be allowed to play a game anymore. And see, Garrett is that team player. He's also that teammate. He does not want to fail his team. He also does not want to have to stop playing hockey. So he looks to the only person in his class who is actually really, really acing said class, and that is Anna Wells. The only problem is that Anna does not like him. Anna does not want to have anything to do with him, but Anna has a crush on a football player. And Garrett, when he notices that, oh, she likes this said football player, works out an arrangement to her. He's like, do you know what, I'm going to pretend to be your boyfriend. I'm going to pretend that we're dating, and that would get said football player interested in you, and boom, everybody's happy if you help me study. So they walk into this arrangement, and if you know me, you know how much I love contractual relationships. This was just like the contractual relationship of my dreams, because I already knew that these two were going to end up together. I was just waiting for them to realize it, because their banter, they were so witty, they work so well, they play off so well off of each other, and I'm appreciative of the fact that I got that and more. This book was funny and hilarious and sexy. God, so fucking hot. Everything I wanted. And it's so interesting because even though we got the fluff and the romance and the hot sex, we also got the angst, we also got the deeper look into so many other things. Like, this book talked about rape, it talked about rape culture, it also talked about parental abuse, and you know, those type of parents who basically all they do is live like second lives, catch a second wind of their life through their children. And I loved seeing all this aspect come to play. I love the fact that it gave so much depth to both Anna and Garrett's characters and eventually their relationship. And speaking of the rape and the rape culture conversation in this book, Elle Kennedy does not shy away from it. I love the fact that from the very first beginning, she openly starts talking about this. That is what Anna is dealing with from the very first page. This is not a spoiler. From the very first page, Anna lets you know that she was raped, and as such, she's still carrying some of the scars of that rape with her. And I love how Elle Kennedy handled this entire situation. And when it was that Garrett discovers, I also love how it is that he in turn also handled said situation. I would state though that whoever wrote the synopsis for this book failed on so many levels. So if it is that you went into this book expecting for them to have a case, and then that leads to the wildest night of their life, and that is when Garrett decides that he wants her, that's not actually how this relationship plays out. It's so false. That's like so much false advertising. It's not even funny. But I did not go into this series expecting that. If you know me, you know that I rarely ever fully read a synopsis before I pick up a book because I want to be surprised. So I didn't enter this book expecting that, and I think that the way in which their sexual relationship starts, the way in which he takes off in this book was done so much better considering Anna's history. So yeah, I enjoyed the deal. I gave it 4 solid stars, and I love the fact that I introduced us to so many other characters that I knew I was going to look forward to meeting. Case in point, the second book in the off-campus series, The Mistake by Elle Kennedy, in which case we follow Logan and Grace. And God, see, I'm going to admit it right here and now. I love groveling. I already said it because we got a lot of groveling. We got some groveling done in the assist. See, I love groveling. And I always measure, when a character screws up, I always appreciate the level of groveling that a character has to do in a book. Because, like, the better the grovel, the more I might actually really, really love the book. And The Mistake came guns blazing, because in this we follow Logan and Grace. See, Logan and Grace had a thing, but Logan was too much of a dumbass because Logan was convinced that he was in love with Anna. Yes, Anna Wells, the girlfriend of one of his best friend, Garrett. But see, Logan did not actually make any moves on Anna. He just loved her from afar in that tortured, Byronic way, but he meets Grace and then he's convinced that he's doing Grace a disservice because he's still in love with Anna. By the time he realizes that he's not really in love with Anna, what he wants is the relationship. What he wants is the relationship that Anna and Garrett have. You know, that union, that connection that they have. By the time he realizes that, he's already broken Grace out and Grace is gone. And then a new year starts and boom, Grace is back. And can I just say that pre-mistake Grace and post-mistake Grace are just so... I love the 180 that my girl did. She was just so fucking badass. I love the fact that she was stronger. She believed more in herself. She was sassy. She still liked Logan, but she was not going to give in to him. And Logan had to grovel. The minute I saw Cutlass, I knew that this was going to be the book after my heart because... that was so fucking funny. And speaking of funny, a lot of people told me that, oh, the Half Campus series was one of the funniest series, one of the funniest NA series out there. And I will admit it, the deal for me, even though I loved it and I enjoyed it, I didn't really find it funny. Like, I smiled in some part, but I was not chuckling or laughing out loud. So I was convinced that it was either people over-exaggerated it or my sense of humor was just not like everybody else. Maybe my sense of humor was broken until I read The Mistake. And it had me chuckling and like cracking up, and I was reading this at work, so I was just that crazy girl in my seat just laughing my head off listening to this book on audio. Like, I enjoyed it. It was so fucking funny. I love the fact that when this book was funny, it was hilarious. When this book was hot, it was smoking. It was smoking. I appreciated all the layers, and once again I love the fact that just like with our other book in the series, Elle Kennedy brought in a serious topic. In this case, she brought in alcoholism, the toll it takes on the family, the fact that it's the fact that when it is that children have alcoholic parents, they have to grow up very, very quickly and then they become the parents in that situation, and the toll it takes on them, and the fact that they have to put aside their dreams in order to take care of their alcoholic parents. Now, I'm going to admit that just like everybody else, I do think that the ending was resolved too damn quickly. But, and this is the big but, I live for happily ever afters, and I'm going to take it where I would find it. Did I think it was very convenient that their father suddenly, you know, had that big old turnaround moment just because of a conversation? Yes, I do. But am I going to look a gift horse in the mouth? No, I'm not, because I love the way it's resolved. I love what it meant for Logan. I love what it meant for Grace. I love what it meant for for Logan's family, and I'm going to take that win where I see it. Next, I read the third book in the Off-Campus series, and that is The Score. Now, the minute I knew that The Score was Dean's story, I knew it was going to be my favorite, and it did not disappoint. See, I remember stating earlier on that Joe Moreno was the man whore of my dreams, but that was before I met Dean Award De Laurentiis, and now like it's Dean just by a little bit, because Dean just took that all on this. Like, I appreciate, there's nothing I appreciate more than someone who loves sex, who has a lot of sex, who has a shit ton of sex, and is fucking unapologetic about it. Because like I said earlier as well when I was talking about Joel, I don't see any problem with it. The problem I have is when it is that, you know, it's not with mutually consenting adults. But as far as everybody is okay with it, I am perfectly fine with it, and I just appreciate it. The speech Dean gives Elle about the use of the word slut and how it's society's way to shame people who go in search of their own pleasure, it was giving me so much life. And that was when I knew that I had met a character I was going to love for the rest of my life. Dean Award De Laurentiis does things like, it never holds back. You can see him plunging headlong into anything he wants and anything he likes, and he lives his life so fucking full, so fucking honest, so fucking open, so fucking beautiful. I love every moment of it. I love the fact that his relationship with Elle started with them having hot as fuck sex, and then they became very good friends, and then they started a secret relationship that became an open relationship, and I love every moment of it. But before I go into that, what was The Score about? In The Score, we basically follow Elle's story. Now, Elle is Anna's best friend and roommate. That's Anna from The Deal, right? And Dean is, of course, one of Garrett and Logan's teammates, roommates, and best friends. And when it is that Ali breaks up with her ex-boyfriend, breaks up with her boyfriend, and needs a place to stay, she goes to stay in Garrett's place because her boyfriend just cannot, her ex could not understand the word no, and I'm done, and please don't come and see me. Like, seriously, what the fuck? Anyway, she goes to stay at Garrett's place. She and Dean get drunk, have amazing, fantastic sex. She realizes it's a big mistake. She doesn't want to do it just because, you know, of so many other reasons. But Dean is nothing if not persistent, but also helps her understand the fact that just because she loves sex and wants sex does not mean that, oh, there's something wrong in pursuing her pleasures. And I love seeing their relationship. I love how they were such good friends. I love, find you a person who would binge watch French dramas with you, even though neither of you speak French, but you understand that this is dramatic and so many things are happening at the same time. Like, it just, I loved it. I loved every moment of it. I love the fact that Dean was unapologetic. I love the fact that Ali realized that, do you know what, she can legitimately have this relationship, and also at the same time she can also ask for more, and also at the same time that she deserves respect, and also at the same time that her ex-boyfriend is a fucking douche. Because I kid you not, when he came to her room drunk, after, you know, that big reveal, he comes to her room drunk and all the things he says to her, I was shaking so hard and I was crying so hard. And then when she just says, just call Dean, and Dean shows up and knows exactly what to say and exactly how to comfort her, my heart just went, it melted, it walked out of my body and was like, see you later, I'm going to go and reside at I'm going to go and stay with Dean. Like, Dean is the new owner of my heart. Like, I was that touched. I was that moved. I also love the fact that just as with every other book in the series, this book is not only hot and fluffy and sexy as fuck, but it also deals with a serious issue. And this time around, it's all about loss. It's all about death. It's all about grief. And seeing Dean go through that loss and breaking down and seeing how it breaks him and seeing how through that loss both he and Hallie discovered depths that they did not know they each individually had was amazing. I loved reading about that. And I kid you not, I bawled on this call so hard because as someone who lost a classmate who died while I was in university, it was just, I was cast back to that point, in that moment in time when you realize that this person who was your age mate, this person that, you know, was your friend, this person that had their entire life ahead of them is gone. This is someone who you knew. This is someone who was your age. This is someone who, just like you assumed had so much ahead of them, and then they are gone in just a freak accident that cost only them their lives. Like, it was just so parallel to my experience while I was in uni that I broke down in tears. I was a bawling mess. I love the fact that this book also dealt with the grief and, you know, the process and exactly how it hits you. I really did enjoy that. I loved it. I can't say enough how much I love the score. I had a lot of fun reading it. It was such a blast. I definitely gave it the 5 stars. I cannot wait to reread it again. I cannot wait to meet Dean again. Like, I can't wait to meet Ali again. I can't wait to meet this crew again. Like, the score, definitely a fantastic, amazing book. My only complaint was that there was this period when Ali and Dean were in the club and then they met this black player, and there was that comparison when Dean compared, like, told him, his skin is like chocolate, blah blah blah, and I'm like, seriously, do we really have to, in this year 2019, are we still I don't think the score was written in 2019 though, but I think 2016, 2017. But really though, in the year 2016, 2017, I thought authors knew better than to compare black skinned folks to food. Like, why are we still doing food comparisons in 2016, 2017? Like, seriously, what the fuck? But yeah, other than that, like I said, I had a blast reading this. It was so much fun. Loved every moment of it. Definitely a 5-star for me. And then I read the last book in the Off-Campus series, and that is The Goal. And this is Tucker's story, Tucker and Sabrina's story. And Tucker is the last of the 4 best friends / teammates. And Sabrina was also in pre-law and was also in Dean's class. And Dean cannot stand her. They have this history together. And I would like, the minute I knew The Goal was Tucker's story, I was really excited and I was really looking forward to reading it. But I got to admit it, I found it a very disappointing read. I think Tucker deserves so much better. I gave this book 2 stars, and that was me. That was because some things ended up saving it at the end of the day, but most of it was 2 stars. I found the story so fucking boring. The Goal was technically just basically the score, but through Tucker's eyes, and Tucker deserves so much better. He deserves to have his own story. He didn't deserve for us to just have the rehash of the score again until like halfway through the book, because after the cliffhanger that was the end of the score, I was really looking forward to The Goal. I was like, oh my god, so much. But then no, we don't get to that cliffhanger bit until the middle of the goal. So technically for like the first half of it, we're just seeing the events of the score, but through Tucker's eyes and what he's experienced on the background. And like, I repeat, Tucker deserved better. Tucker deserved better. Now, I'm going to admit, a lot of I've seen on reviews that some people don't like Sabrina. I don't actually mind her. In fact, the person I had a problem with at the start of the book was Tucker, because he was a tad bit stalkerish. A girl says she doesn't want to give you a number, she doesn't want you to call her, you try and find out her class schedule, you're there, blah blah. It was just very stalkerish. Like, it was legitimately following her home, even though she said she didn't want to take him home. But the minute he took a step back and waited for her to come to him, I appreciated that. I liked him more. But then when I got to Sabrina, who was making so many stupid decisions, like, for a smart girl, and I understand where she's coming from. She's driven. I know the reason why she's driven. Her home life is shit. She definitely wants better for herself. But for a smart girl who understands just how insane and toxic our home situation is, the fact that when she gets to get out of there, the fact that she will not take it, the fact that she will bring a child into that situation, I was just like, girl, for a law student who claims to be very smart, like, you are making some stupid shitty ass decisions. Let's say she does not even want to move in with Tucker. Like, Hope and Karen are right there, and they were like, oh, they were legitimately giving her way out. They were legitimately offering her help, and she was so bullheaded. And it comes to a point when being bullheaded is just plain stupid. And Sabrina never struck me as a stupid person, so I was just so fucking frustrated during her part of the entire story. But like I said, I found the story very boring. There were just a little moment of hilarity in it. I loved the Godfather competition between Garrett and Logan and Dean. It was just so fucking funny. I love that. But that's the thing, like, I think that was my problem with the goal. The deal, the mistake, the score, they had moments of angst, yet, but they also had lots of moments of hilarity. The goal was mostly just angsty and serious, and it took me away from the rest of the series. It was like a very different tone from the rest of the series, and I think that was the reason why I did not really appreciate it. If I had known, if the rest of the series had been just this serious, maybe I might not have minded the goal as much. But when you're coming from the hilarity, that is the mistake, that is the score, you know, the smiles that you get in the deal, and then you get to the goal, you don't really have those much emotional responses, and that was just a big problem for me. But I appreciated, I love the fact that both Tucker and Sabrina got their happy ending. I love their daughter. Like, oh my god, this was it could have been so much better. I wanted so much more from this book, but I didn't get that, and that is what is just breaking my heart. But I did give it a 2 stars.
My strange addiction, my doctors can't explain my symptoms or my pain, but you